listening to The Bradshaw Boys, a podcast where three relatively grown men binge the iconic HBO series Sex and the City. So dust off those DVDs and grab yourself a white wine or even a Cosmopolitan and settle in. Take it away, boys.
Welcome to Bradshaw Boys, a podcast where three guys watch their way through Sex and the City for the first time ever, mostly. I'm Cory Cavin.
I'm Kevin James Doyle.
My name is Jon Sieber, and that's it. We've watched Sex and the City.
We've
consumed
all of
everything that they have to offer currently. We are currently up to date with Sex and the City.
That's it.
I have watched all the whole series.
We'll get to
we
that.
are the Bradshaw Boys.
Hey,
That's
by the
right.
way, if you've been listening to this podcast for the whole series, like the experiment is over now. It's not, the podcast isn't over, but we've gotten that. But we've got a lot. You can listen to this podcast. We want you to subscribe, send us reviews. We'll read your reviews on the air because we're going to do more episodes. And we also have a Patreon that you can listen to that are going to do even more episodes on. We always say this, but we don't say it till the end of the episode. So we're going to tell you now that we have a Patreon, and some of you might already be part of it, but it's really super fun.
Let's tell them this. We've watched it first time ever. Mostly, this is it. We've watched Sex and the City for the first time ever, fully through now.
Yeah, that's the last time I'll say for the first time ever. Mostly.
Oh, I'm gonna miss it.
Well, once we get to the new series, we'll figure out how that plays in. But right now, yeah, I'm gonna miss it too.
Well, we've been talking for.
I mean, can you just redo it? I think you need to redo it right now. Welcome to the Bradshaw Boys podcast, where we have watched Sex and the City.
Okay.
We're done.
Here we go. Welcome to the Bradshaw Boys, a podcast where three guys have watched Sex and the City. I'm Cory Cavin. That's it.
I love that.
That's it.
That's so great, because now when we introduce ourselves, I mean, hey, I'm John. I do a podcast. So like, what's it about? It's like we watched Sex and the City. That's
No, we watched it. We watched
all of it.
We watched it.
We have
watched
watched.
the whole show. We've watched Sex and the City.
We have watched.
And listen, it was a good experience. It was more emotional at the end of the series because we knew that they made it feel that way, but now we've done the whole project.
Yeah.
We've done the damn thing. We've talked about this. We've talked about this a bunch, but I feel like there's no reason to bury the lead. The new series is coming out, which is amazing, and it's going to come out in about a year. And before that, we're going to rewatch all of them, and we're going to do that. Some episodes are going to be out here, and then half the episodes that we do are going to be on our Patreon. So for $5 a month, you're going to be getting extra Bradshaw Boys, and we're going to do the rewatch, and you can contribute to the episodes. And we're ironing out, by the time this comes out, it'll be clear, but we're going to do we can do some Zoom chat rooms with everybody for Patreon. We're going to do some live streams. We may be able to do some things that we can all hang out together, but it's basically consider our podcast now the worldwide official sanctioned Sex and the City watch to catch up before the new series. That is us.
That's right.
And you can do it with us on Patreon. Go to Patreon and sign up. And that is where the feed will be over the next year. We watched it for the first time ever mostly, and now we're watching it with you, the fans. And guess what we are now? That's all we are now. We're just fans.
This is a Sex and the City fan podcast now.
Yeah, done.
Yeah, that's what this is. It's Welcome to the Bradshaw Boys, a podcast where three guys watched Sex and the City.
And are now fans.
And are now fans. And are now fans. We're only fans.
So this is, of course, we just finished the... Did you say we are only fans?
I said we're only fans. That's our
Kevin?
only fans.
Kevin, get your dick out. Let's go.
What I can't. Mom, we just started it. We watched Sex and the City, and now people pay us $12 a month. What am I supposed to do? They asked for pictures of my balls. We have to give them content.
That's all it is.
That's really
It's
funny.
Do any of our listeners have OnlyFans? I would actually love to know that, because
there is one of our Twitter followers does, I believe, who's engaged with us on Twitter.
Where they do OnlyFans, or they
I think so.
subscribe to OnlyFans? Because I'm sure there's probably both, right?
Oh, I'm sure there's a lot of our listeners.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are listeners of ours that subscribe to OnlyFans. I think one of our Twitter followers who is engaged with our Twitter, I think has an OnlyFans.
Do you think Samantha would have an OnlyFans?
I think that she would. I think a storyline is that she would like go to a party and be like, "What's OnlyFans? I need a fan because I'm going through menopause and sweating so much." No, Samantha, OnlyFans is a website where, and then like, and then the end of it is that she would like start a classy OnlyFans or something like that.
Yeah,
with like a hot young dude. I don't know if she would have one, but she would like get into it somehow.
Yeah, I think that would be like a good. I think she'd be totally. I think she'd do it.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the second movie.
We just finished it. We did literally like 5 minutes ago. We just finished the second movie.
Yeah. We watched the first hour and 15 minutes, which you all listened to last week. And this is the second half of the movie project that we just finished. And we're excited to talk about it and dig in and discuss all things like the movie. Yeah.
Can I just say this? Because I think there's interesting conversations to be had. And this is based on years of hearing about the second movie. And it's like, besides the 10-minute Marx Brothers romp of like, we're going to use burqas and I'm going to show my leg and this, and the women take their, like, besides the whole bizarre, that's what we'll call it.
Because they were
bizarre. Like a Will Ferrell, Mark Wahlberg movie for like a good 10
minutes. It's like just that with a sitar.
Can we take that whole scene and make it black and white and put a little like old movie filter on it and speed it up like 0.5% so it just feels like an old Marx Brothers movie?
I mean, one thing in Hollywood in general that is just hilarious, and I think Aziz Ansari has a joke about it, but it's basically like there's just this world that's a culture that is like another country. And anytime they show like any sort of like Middle Eastern country, whether it's a comedy like this or like a war movie or set over there, it just like shows the desert. And then it's just like, hey! And it's like, why? Like, we get it. But it's like, even the tone of it is never just like, we're in this country. It's just like, danger and exotic things around the corner. It's like, fucking chill.
That's so good.
I think like it is funny because it's like I don't know. There's lots of good movies that deal with that. This is just, I would just say all I hear is how offensive or what not well done it is. And I do think if you just take out the bizarre romp, really like it's not as bad as I thought it would be.
No. Yeah. No, there was like,
I agree.
Yeah, there were some definite cringy parts in that 10-15 minute window. But other than that, like, I don't know. I had a good time. I enjoyed myself. I'd watch it again.
Now, having said that, that is a scene in the movie. And when you walk out, it's just like, remember when they threw on burqas and then she showed her leg and just like, it was like, you know, that's honestly why you don't, that's why in the pitch meeting, when someone's just like, let's talk about like two of the most different cultures of the world and like, just like throw our little flavor on it without, it's just like dipping into, I don't know. It's just like going down south to go on a date and meet a girl's parents. And you're like, let's talk about abortion. Like that's the first thing you talk, or just something that it's like, you know, there's tons of conversations to be had. I don't know if like, if it's going to be a great first date where you meet the parents or something, you know what I mean? Like
my mom she went to some doctor's appointment and the doctor, or maybe they were traveling and they had to like see a doctor, but the doctor found out my parents were from the South and because I'm from the South, and they had to like take blood, and he was like, well, we might find out that like your relatives are related from your blood sample. Like he made some joke about inbreeding to my mom, and they were like seeing a travel doctor, and she was like, what? It was like such a weird thing for a medical professional to be like, well, I guess deliverance runs in your family. I was like, I get the joke. I get it. It's a very easy, obvious joke, but like, okay, doctor from the north. It was like so stupid.
No, I mean,
but it's that kind of thing where you're like, I get it. There's more subtle jokes to be made, and you're right. Every single movie is exactly like that. Every movie that's set there is like that.
We said this before we started too, but it's like, it's almost not, I wasn't offended. It was just like those things could have been done well. Uh-oh. What happened? Am I gone? What happened? Cory's gone. Okay, I'm back.
We lost you, Kevin.
We lost you. You dropped out. For
everything dipped out. All right.
Let me. We're back now. So we'll say
14 minutes.
14.
I got 13:30. He should start listening.
Okay, 13:30, and the other one was 35 minutes, right, for the last episode. Okay, cool. Go ahead, Kevin.
I think, like anything, whenever something makes you cringe, or whenever something, it's not that it was, it's like that it was done, it was executed poorly. And this, I think it would be like, I don't know how you execute that well, but I don't know. I think we could. There's been plenty of the cultural conversation. I think if we stick to like what was going on with the characters, there's a much more interesting discussion, because this is just like, it's like what else could be said? When I saw Sarah Jessica Parker or Carrie Bradshaw just show her leg in the burqa, I was just like, okay. I don't want a podcast about that.
We're not going to get further into it, but I'm like, we talked about this a little bit before we started recording, but like, it's a hard movie to really go deep into those issues. And like, I feel like maybe the show Homeland might touch on some of that stuff better. Maybe I never watched all of Homeland, but I think they dip into that world a little more. But like, here's Homeland definitely did that. The Homeland definitely did.
Totally.
Also, here's a weird thing. I don't want to get us too far off track, but like, they inquisitively in this show, they're like, oh, is that the call to prayer? So they like bring up like, oh, there's the call to prayer. But then she's hiking up her skirt to call a taxi. And then like, here's the thing. They get in the taxi. He's just going to take him to the airport then? I mean, like, that doesn't necessarily work. That it's just like, I stopped because I'm not, in our culture, like seeing a woman's leg, but it's like, righto, to the airport, madam. Like, there's a logic problem there. So but we're not gonna get deep into it. A lot has been said about it. There's a lot of other things.
Let's do this.
That we can talk about. Yeah.
Let's say this. Let's dip in. I mean, we had some infidelity.
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
which I think were
interesting conversation.
I think that to me felt almost as time. All right, I take that back. I'm gonna go ahead and backtrack a little bit. It was so out of character for Aiden. I don't know, I just don't. I don't see him acting like that with her. Like, I don't know. Maybe you get together, you show someone like how your pictures of your kids, how lucky you are, how much you love your wife, and then immediately just go, oh fuck, you are gorgeous.
Yeah,
like,
that was
just that seems so out of character for that dude.
Hey Aiden, you know how your mom is your wife is worried about the one that got away? She's fucking correct.
Yeah, maybe
why did you kiss her? Yeah.
Okay, let's do a quick rundown of how the movie ended before we take a deep dive. See if I can remember it. The last we stopped watching right when Carrie and her butler were having some milk, and the butler told him how he spends time away from his wife. The next scene, they went camel riding. Samantha or Miranda arranged for camel riding and an epic day, and they had outfits, which that scene was awesome. That was pretty epic, seeing them all on camels in the desert. I enjoyed that. And they had some bomb ass outfits, and then they met a little guy named Dickspert, who that is an attractive man. That Dickspert. Very rugged, attractive, Indiana Jones like. they meet him on a 4-wheeler. They go do some karaoke. They sing "I Am Kevin," "Hear Me Roar," and I'm trying to think. And then how does this movie wrap up?
Also, I know I'm a stickler for this, but like, just so people know, if for some reason you missed the last episode, we just finished watching this now. This is all real time from the last episode.
Yeah,
but reason we still can't remember what just happened, what we just watched. They go through and see those, and then
the next night, Carrie runs into Aiden, decides to go get dinner with. She gets the bad review in her book.
She gets the bad review in her book. That's what happens.
She kind of throws a little poopy party. She decides to go. They all split up. She decides to go have dinner with Aiden.
Yep.
Miranda and Charlotte go talk about the difficulties of being mothers. Yep. And then Samantha goes and has a romantic rendezvous with Dick Ricard Spurt. Carrie, of course, kisses Aiden. And then freaks out and ruins everyone's vacation by making it all about her. Miranda and Charlotte have like a really good open conversation about the difficulties of being a woman, and Charlotte kind of opens up that she needs some space and time away from her kids to feel like herself again. And Samantha hooks up with Dick Spurt. They make out on the beach. She gets arrested, which causes the panic to leave Abu Dhabi. She has to pay for the hotel. Enter 15 minutes of what'd you call it? Market madness.
Bizarre.
Yeah, the bizarre. They go back home.
How bizarre.
Dude, OMC, man.
OMC, yeah.
And Carrie and Big make up. They say, I'm so lucky to have you and not be running around like a single lady anymore, but sit on the couch. Big old collection of Lewis Carroll poems on the book. I'm not sure if you guys noticed that.
Wait, where was the big old collection of Lewis Carroll?
It's like the only visible book in their apartment. It's like right on the coffee table as they are as they're sitting on the couch watching TVs, and probably what looks like the most uncomfortable position of all time. Big is like laying on it. Yeah.
Sitting across from him and the ottomans between them.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was yeah.
And then it just ends. It ends with all of them together. What'd you say?
And on the couch that it took 1.5 years for them to get. Which is like
exactly. And then they end. Everyone ends happily ever after. Charlotte spends some time away from the family at Carrie's apartment. Miranda finds a new job at a law firm that she likes and she's happy and fulfilled in. And Samantha, and has sex with Ricard Spurt in East Hampton on the 4th of July. And everyone lives happily ever after.
There you go.
The real quick, so people know the context, like, and I forgot about this for last time, but It Happened One Night is kind of known as like maybe the first romantic comedy in like film history. Because before that there was a lot of like crazy wacky comedies with love, but this is like a real, very similar to Sex and the City, like very much like two people meet, it's like whimsical, and it's like kind of the modern rom-com. What was the movie? Did they say the movie they watch at the end?
I don't know. I'll look it up real quick.
I should have known that. I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, let's dig into Carrie Aidan before we started that, but it's like you said, John, that like it seemed out of Aiden's character. Don't you think it's a little odd? Like that's a thing that's not resolved. That's like, we got the Carrie Big thing resolved, which is good, which is like, don't kiss other people. We get it. Like they had their issues, which I think we can talk about emotional, I don't know, just the decisions that lead to cheating. But it's kind of a dark way to be like, I have 2 kids and I'm married, and he sought her out. He talked about how sexy, like he definitely buttered her and puffed her up and got the wheels turning, I think.
I don't know, man. There's like the whole scene of her getting ready, like Rambo First Blood, where she's like putting on her war paint though. Like she knew she knew what she was doing. She was like, she tried to present herself as sexy as possible. She tried to bring the sparkle.
She did it.
Is that you then see her whole thing? It's mysterious. Is like, we don't get any backstory to his marriage. Like, is he not like satisfied? Like, why did he do that? Because we know why she did that. And with him, I'm like, oh my gosh.
My response to that would be that he seems like he's in a great marriage and has kids, but he does say that his current wife, Kathy, and this is not shown in the movie. This is not actually shown in the movie. They don't talk about this, but it's been widely documented by Sarah Jessica Parker that he is married to the comic strip character Kathy.
Yeah.
Who like they have a great like mental, like they got a lot of chemistry in terms of like, you know,
dude, it was from that peyote trip that they took in Arizona together.
She turned into a comic strip character.
How much of like a poor man's Hansel is Aiden in this movie?
Poor man's Hansel. Is that what you said?
No, Hansel from Zoolander. He's like in a bazaar.
He's so hot right
Abu Dhabi. Yeah, he's so hot right now.
When he gives her the double hug, that's when I was like,
yeah. It made me. It did make me think about like what happens if you see an ex like years later, you know, and you're like, what's the appropriate thing? Because it would be weird if you were in Abu Dhabi to see someone that meant a lot to you.
I think there is a very easy playbook to handling that situation.
What is it?
I'm in Abu Dhabi on business. I see one of my exes. I call Katie and I'm like, hey, one of my exes is here. It's crazy that we ran into each other. We're going to catch up. Is that okay?
Yes, 100%.
And then she's like, I don't know. I've had my eye on Carrie Bradshaw this whole time. I really don't think that's a wise idea. And you're like, yeah, that's actually not a wise idea. How about, because we really want to catch up, I'll be with all of my friends and they can meet us at the bar for a drink and it can be like a big group thing. Cool.
Yeah,
like you have to communicate those things ahead of time rather than putting on like your best, sexiest outfit and going to meet someone there.
I was thinking more just in the moment, seeing them in the market. What's that move?
Okay.
But what I was going to say is it's weird to be like, I can't speak to them. I think that then you just have the like, oh, this is awkward, but oh my gosh, we're both in Abu Dhabi, crazy. But I think you're right. You don't just make dinner plans with an ex without telling your significant other. That's not a good idea.
That to me was like where the air, like the call shouldn't be, I ran into Aiden and I went to dinner with him and we flirted hard. And then he kissed me. It should be like, I ran into Aiden at a bazaar in Calcutta. It was really weird, or Abu Dhabi. And we'd like to catch up. Was that a horrible idea? Or
which I will say, well, I was going to say, I have been in this situation before where it's like someone who I used to like, an ex is in town, wanted to catch up. I am going to have coffee with them. Like, what do you think about that? And then we talked about it. And then finally it was like, that's fine with me. If you want to go do that, like, that's okay. Yeah. And then like and then afterward, I was like, you know what? We got coffee and it was great and it was cool. And thank you for being understanding. And like, it worked out. But you're right. You play the thing before because you have commitment to the person that you're currently with. You have to defer to
exactly.
That. Kevin, what were you going to say? Sorry.
Well, I was going to say, I've talked to people that have been cheated on, and I don't think I've ever been cheated on. I don't think so. Not that I know of.
Right.
But I talked to someone through it like in real time, which was crazy. And then I've talked to a few other ones, and I was like, one of the pieces like of advice, because I think a lot of people try and diminish it to be like, no, like it was just a kiss. And it's like, as the person who has had the infidelity happen to them. So if you're Big in this case, or if you were Natasha in Big's case, you know, you have to, before you forgive the person, or so that you know the whole context, know that they're going to say it was just this, but you need to know that it's like, no, they cheated on you for 10 hours before that.
Yeah.
All of the mental thing of like, because if you want to work through it after, it's like, you want to know, it wasn't like, oops, I kissed you. It's like, you wanted to look beautiful for that person.
Right.
You wanted to hug them a second time and feel them touch you. You wanted this, and you wanted to
She even had the Charlotte lifeline that she fought through. Like Charlotte was like, you aren't playing with fire. What are you doing? And Carrie, of course, like lashed out at her. It's like, she cheated for way longer than a 10-second kiss. I 100% agree with that.
Yeah. And I think like, I mean, that's a thing that, I don't know, you have to constantly check in. I mean, I don't like, what do you think on that, John? Like, how do you keep the spark alive with Katie?
Sparkle.
Not just that, but it's like,
what? I mean, Katie, like this is a different conversation, but Katie and I are very lucky because like we've never had like a miss in expectations for what we want out of our relationship. We're like, we find joy in like going out and getting like kick-ass sushi, but we also find joy in like sitting on the couch and watching Ted Lasso. And we find joy like in community with friends, and we find joy like in nature by ourselves. And so it's like, I think that we're very lucky that we've never had a misalignment where I'm like, I need you to do this so I can feel happy. And she's never said that to me. And in turn, like one of my favorite things is like when Katie's happy. So if like she really just wanted to sit and watch like a black and white movie, that would make me so happy. I would just be like thrilled for her because I get joy from her joy. And it's the same thing with me. Like if I'm like, I had a busy day at work, I just want to zone out and play World of Warcraft. She's like, she like loves it. She like, that makes her happy. So, I don't know. I think we're both incredibly lucky that way.
I mean, I do think that like when I look, and we're going to get to see this in, a year, but it'll be interesting to know, because if I knew Carrie and Big in real life, I'd be like, man, they're both so selfish, which was shown in, and I'm not even saying this from a insult point of view. There are some people that defer to other people in very strong ways, and that's their personality, and they are very bullheaded. They also are very like live in the moment type people. They're very like, I mean, Big maybe doesn't feel like it in this movie, but living in the moment for him is like, I cannot think about you and go to this dumb thing. I have to lie in bed and watch a movie and order food. And like they both, if they make it to the end of their lives still married, I do feel like it's been proven, and I've seen couples like this, every few years they're going to have this realignment of being like, I need to feel beautiful. And he's like, what's beautiful about this? And it's like, and
what's not beautiful about Deadliest Catch, Carrie?
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know. There's just something about this thing in particular that is like, he drove her away by like being a like, oh, I'm a guy. And then she did the typical thing that's like, I'm going to go do this and then I'm going to hurt him. I do think I always lean on, if you cheat, like you really should just tell, because I do think like, you want to be everything open with who you're doing it. That's how I feel. I think some people disagree with that. They had that conversation, but I just think in real life, Carrie and Big are going to do this every 3 years for the rest of their life. And at some point they're going to get divorced.
Yeah.
In a real situation, that couple does not last forever, in my opinion.
I agree. I agree. I think that there are bigger things that they need to work out and that keep leading to that. And so I think if they, and I mean, there's a bigger conversation that I think John could speak to more, just because you are the married one of us, but like there's an even bigger conversation. It's just who Big and Carrie are, but like the whole sparkle thing where it's like, if the way, like, yes, I am all for do nice romantic things. I think that is something that probably takes you back to it can keep a relationship alive. Part of where I'm going here is coming from like this book that I read recently, but like, I think if your pursuit of keeping a marriage alive is grand romantic gestures, you have a hard road ahead of you. Yeah. Because life is not meant to just spike the high points. Like you are this book that I've like talked about some on the podcast, but like
The secret. It's the secret.
It's the secret.
Yeah.
You have to visualize what you want, and then it's a law of attraction. No, it's like
honestly, but it's grapes of wrath.
It's grapes of wrath. Yeah, you have to suck an
at the end of your life. You want to
woman's-
suck on an old woman's
you have to
titty.
suck an old woman's tit at the end of the depression. That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's where life goes. You both get old
Yeah.
and you suck on an old tit. That's what happens.
Yeah.
No, but it's like this book basically is like, he uses the term stirring the oatmeal, and he's like, you're looking for someone to stir the oatmeal with for the rest of your life. He's like, the beauty of life is found in the mundane, and you find that like with roommates, even that you're like, the freaking times I miss that, like Tuesday when it was a snowstorm and we like couldn't go out to the bar we wanted to go to, and we ended up like staying up till 2 a.m. watching news anchor bloopers.
Totally.
And like drinking high life together. Like that's the, it's like that stuff. And I'm sure in a marriage,
there's a great scene that Robin Williams says in Good Will Hunting, where he talks about like the things he misses about his wife.
Oh yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. But I 100%
What's the scene though? What is he talks about, like, what was the thing you were going to say?
I miss my wife. Oh, my wife's not here anymore.
He talks about like, isn't it like where they were laying in bed and she farted in her sleep
and she wakes herself up farting.
Yeah, and he's just like, that's those are the things I miss, like those little,
like, little moments. And then she farted, and then and she said, "Was that you?" And I said, "Oh no, I think it was the dog." And then she went back to sleep. Oh, that's really what he says in the movie. It's one of my favorite movies.
I mean, I think that's one of the. That's like just a difficult. Let's like, I know you read that book and it's about companionship and it's about how like the Western ideals of love have been poisoned by Tristan and Isilda, which is what Romeo and Juliet's based on. And fucking Taylor Swift's like biggest hit song for a while was like
Love
literally,
story.
I always thought it was funny, but it's like, I'll be Romeo and you'll be Juliet or whatever. And it's like they both kill each other in the end. What the fuck is wrong with you? But I think it is a testament to what you're saying, that it's like, what is the most
my favorite thing is like, I get what you're saying, and that's just like, but it's like we're both laughing and you're like, and I'm making a point and I'm driving this train forward no matter what, and I'm like,
Cory, you cannot. It's like putting out a forest fire. We're in the middle of an HOTTAKE, and you can't spray that sucker down. You like, even if we're in a helicopter.
It's like Michael Jackson says in The Man in the Mirror, I'm staring at the Romeo and Juliet. And so my point is that what I'm saying is that. Anyway, continue.
Choo-choo, we between stations. You better hang on.
So keep going. Taylor Swift says that.
Taylor Swift is saying, Romeo and Juliet.
I'm saying the reason why I say that is because it is so potent within our culture. And then from doing this podcast and us talking about this, and then looking on social media or having people mention us, what is like maybe the foremost conversation that people talk about all the time is like, should Carrie Bradshaw be with which one of these two semi-toxic relationships? That is like one of the biggest cultural conversations around love of the past 20 years. And it is like, should she be with this person that annoys her and like is clingy, or should she be with the rich guy who she fights with all the time? And now we're getting to the point where they were in a cheating relationship for a while, or they're fucking using each other for emotional connection and sex, or now they're in a relationship and they're bored, so she cheats on him again. Maybe I won't call it a full cheat. It's just funny that it's like people are addicted to the toxicity of looking at like, oh, Mr. Big. And it's like, yeah, where's the fucking oatmeal person?
That's Harry. I'll tell you where he is. It's Harry. He's put his tea bags and his bare balls on furniture. That's the oatmeal stir.
Cream cheese. It's stirring the cream cheese with the cream cheese poppy.
Yeah, hanging out with Irish jiggly tits, just like doing his thing.
He's like, hey, we got to find you a girlfriend. Hey, I know some girls. I know some girls at the synagogue. They love those big Irish milkers. Hey.
That's some good old fashioned sheep milk right there.
Hey, we can make some Kerrygold with what's in those guys.
To speak of what you were talking about earlier, Kevin, whenever they show like a desert scene that's like ha. Dude, they did the same thing with her. Whenever she was in the screen, they like played like this Irish fiddle. It's like
oh, top of the morning to you, double D's.
Could you imagine if they did that with every character? If like Harry was just like, ha, na, ha,
I mean, they do that sometimes. I actually like when they do that.
I mean, pretty funny.
I will. The scene. This is like what I would have liked to see. Is I would have liked to see Carrie. I would have loved to see Charlotte tell Harry rather than be like she likes women. I would have loved for her to talk to him because this is same going back to the deeper issue.
Yeah.
Is even if she was a lesbian, that doesn't take away from the underlying thing that Kristen Davis or that Charlotte's dealing with, which is like this beautiful woman. And it's like how Harry looks at the nanny versus how she feels as a mom now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I would have loved to see that between her and the Poppy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They're in a worse spot now because Harry loves it when women get together. That's
right.
So that's Harry's got two now beautiful like, lesbians hooking up in his house. It's his fantasy. What are you gonna do when the awesome. What are you gonna do when the Poppy's dreams come true? That's Sex and the City 3. What happened?
Bum, bum.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do when Poppy's dreams come true?
Yeah. So Carrie pick. I think. When we were talking about him being married to Kathy, the comic strip character, I think the problem is just like if you're ever at a dinner with your ex, even if it's been sanctioned, and they lean in and they talk about their significant other being worried about the one that got away, that should set off some alarm bells in your head.
Yeah.
If anyone is like, if they jokingly are like, oh, the one that got away, but like they should never call you that.
But do you think that was because like Carrie Bradshaw is now like a celebrity and like she's like in the cultural zeitgeist? Like
maybe.
It's not like she's just like some random person. Like her.
That's true.
Kathy probably like sees her column and sees her book whenever she walks by the Strand bookshop. And it's like,
that's true.
Carrie is like,
there's something to how much it's such a bummer. Cause it's like, how much fun would it be if Big, like, just think about if Big died of a heart attack right before she went to Abu Dhabi, and then Aiden was like, oh, actually, my wife left me. How much fun would it be to be in Abu Dhabi and then have that dinner and just have a one-off super fun time in Abu Dhabi where they bang the shit out of each other and then they go back to their separate lives? Yeah. That's not what should have happened, but it's like, that's the dream that you're looking for. You want to have that connect. That's what I feel like Sam Jones is able to have those in her life. She's able to like reconnect with people later and be like, hey, let's take a walk down memory lane without destroying our relationship.
Yeah, she can. I mean, she can live the hookup life. Yeah, like she can do it. But he's got Tate, Homer, and Wyatt to go home to.
Tate, Homer, and Wyatt.
He's got them, man.
Oh my gosh. Do you think he's going to tell his wife?
No, he's not going to tell Kathy. She would just go, ack. It would throw her for a loop. She's a comic
I'm gonna
strip.
Have my ice cream.
Oh, Mondays. My husband cheated on me.
The exact thing that I suspected and kept in the back of my mind happened. My trust is destroyed forever. Now I gotta go Rocky Road.
I'm gonna eat Rocky Road and skip my Zumba class.
Oh man. Dude, how freaking hot. This is from the first part of the movie, but how hot did Miranda look in that dress at the wedding?
Oh, the like plunging neckline, like black and white dress. Dude, Miranda is like smoking the whole movie. And then what's funny is when she has to go into lawyer mode when she has to get woken up at 2:30 in the morning. They like put her in some like kind of like cool jeans and a blazer, and she kind of looks like casual lawyer. And just like in the morning, yeah.
Do you know how funny it is that we this is so early in the podcast that we didn't take advantage of it at all, but we like met and talked to Rosie O'Donnell for like 5 minutes, and we were like, oh, and then we're like, after the fact, we're like, we'll figure out a way to email her and ask to be on the podcast, which She was so cool. I bet she would have been like, yeah, I'll do your podcast. Yeah,
dude, we met Rosie O'Donnell at the Cynthia Nixon campaign thing. Like, it was funny because like we got that picture with Cynthia Nixon and like she was in campaign mode. But you're right. I feel like Rosie O'Donnell, we talked to her for a while.
Yeah,
I know.
I feel like
Cory hooked up with her.
Yeah, I did. I lived the Samantha life with her. I did.
She's like, Cory, show me your cush balls.
I did, man. Hey, she was the freaking queen of nice that night. She really was.
Now listen, everybody. You may think we're joking, but I want you to know this is 100%
Cory did show
true.
Rosie O'Donnell his balls. That is not.
Cory Cavin showed Rosie O'Donnell his balls. If there's one thing from this podcast that is true amongst everything, is that
100%, 1,000% true. Put it on my tombstone.
And she's, you know what she said? She said, Cory, those balls, they're in a league of their own.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, we're gonna try to steer.
There's no crying in your
this
balls.
back on track. I was a little. I do agree what you were saying about Charlotte, and like I wish there was a scene in which she spoke to Harry about how she was feeling, rather than just like her and Miranda getting like a little drunk. Although I do think the Miranda and Charlotte scene where they were drinking Cosmos was the best scene in the movie. I just want to say that 100%. Most honest, most real, best scene. Loved it all, through and through. Loved seeing Charlotte like break down. Sorry, go ahead.
It was a place for them to connect as characters that you don't normally see, that you're like, oh, wow, that is crazy. I forget that they're the only two moms in the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Cool. That's actually really true. And I think that was good to have Miranda kind of be like, you can say it, like bring it out, take a sip. This is a place to like air the grievances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that those two storylines, like they help. I mean, I think Miranda's was unfortunately just a ploy to get her onto an airplane for a week. But yeah, I do wish they would have finished a little bit stronger. Looking at it now,
the Samantha storyline ends up just being. We said this in the last podcast, but like we were like, hers is kind of bland, and like it really does sort of feel like Samantha's going through menopause.
Yeah, but I think they leveled it up a little bit in the second half of the movie, where she like became like, I mean, she still just became like the object, the uncontrollable sexual object that got them kicked out of Abu Dhabi. But like because of that, they like got kicked out of their hotel, and then they like caused them to panic, rush on the plane. So like I do think her storyline became more of like than just her trying to get her hormone pills to like the reason that they had to leave Abu Dhabi, even though that was, silly.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know.
There's a thing, Cory and I have talked about it before from like when we've like tried to write stuff, and I feel like you told me this. I don't know. Cory's we talked about it a bunch with Amy Harris too, but it's like the things that happen, like once you get too much into plot like this, it lost the sauce when it was like things are happening. It's like this happens and this happens and this happens, and it's not connected to character and to why, and like I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Like it's interesting, like not right. It's not like I've written like 15 movies or like 100 scripts like these people have. It's interesting how difficult it is to make a movie and write a good script and have characters be real, because once it happens, the lay person who doesn't know any of the tricks of the trade, you just feel it in your heart. You're just like, why is this happening? And like, this isn't the same as I feel when this happens. And then you have to go to a class or have someone explain to you, be like, what you're as a human drawn to in this story is that Charlotte feels this and wants this, and Harry does this. And so this, you could just see how it was like this, like the last 20 minutes was just like bump, 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 bump. And none of it mattered.
Yeah. And it's interesting how late you're right. None of it really mattered. And there were scenes like when they were like I think when Samantha went to go on the beach, which like did lead to them getting kicked out eventually, but there were certain scenes of them hanging out. Maybe it was actually the scene when the soccer team shows up and Samantha's like, I don't feel anything down under. There was a lot of scenes where they were hanging out where I was like, what are we doing? We're just hanging out at a resort. And I'm wondering what it's leading to. And it did end up leading to stuff, but like I feel like there was a couple different directions. There's the Aiden Carrie direction. I mean, I guess kind of like a normal episode, but like, yeah, we're right. Like you're right, Kevin. You said like we get 15 minutes in, we're like, oh, this seems to be one of the driving points here. Whereas like the difference in the first movie is, you know, we split the movie up into 3 different podcasts. And I feel like within the first podcast, we're like, whoa, Steve's cheated.
Yeah.
Carrie big. There's some stormy clouds showing up. And like you get halfway through the movie and you're like, we've had a lot of conflict and now we're in Mexico and we got to like, you know, deal with a bunch of stuff.
I feel like,
do you know what's,
and I feel like there were literally scenes in this movie that were put into this movie solely so they could have a pun at the end of them.
So they could have what?
A pun at the end of them.
Dude, there were so many puns. So many puns.
We need to talk about
Lawrence of my labia.
Camel toe. Like that whole scene of her falling off the camel was, I mean, it's also because Charlotte does great physical comedy, I think. And she's kind of like the one who always shits her pants or does stuff like that. But like that entire like 3 minutes was for the camel toe punchline.
Yeah.
And then sand wedgie. And then like the Lawrence of my labia. Like I know people have talked about that before, but that one.
Yeah, Lawrence of my labia was like one definitely that was, I mean, we've heard that. I mean, I've seen people talk about that when they're like, oh, the freaking second movie. But I felt like they really leaned hard into the puns in other places, like in the camel toe thing. But there were times where they would say it and then they would all laugh. Where it's like they've done that in the series, but it seemed like they were just like, we are going to level up the puns as much as we can, you know?
How did they not? What are the puns that they missed? They could have done something with hummus, like hummus. What else?
You just got a hard look from Katie in the background.
Katie, you didn't like that?
She didn't know. I have headphones on. She didn't hear it. I can't wait to tell her what it is that she missed.
How did she
Did you laugh? How did she know?
I have no idea how she heard that.
I literally said,
so funny.
I said hummus, and then it was like this.
It was the complete record. I mean,
Kevin was talking about the puns that they missed, and one of them was that they didn't use the pun "cummus," and right when he said that, you gave him a stink eye.
It was so funny. Yeah, I mean, it's really funny. Yeah, people just come. Whatever. I think that the Carrie Big Aiden thing was compelling because I wanted to know what she would do if she would tell him and stuff. Charlotte, Miranda, really cool. The Samantha stuff, like, listen, let's go ahead and talk about it. Unless you reinvent that character, it's like she was the shining star of the series, but like, it's really hard to even know what to do with the character. I wonder if Samantha, if Kim Cattrall is correct to just be like, that story's been told. Like, what are you going to do? You either have like, people are wells of new material, but I wonder, like, it's almost like they did not.
It's a tough road to plow. I don't know what the answer is. Do you have it just be the 3 women, which would be great? Do you try to like bring in some diversity, which might feel forced? It's just like, I don't know. I don't know what exactly. Maybe you like shift like Stanford to be like more of a main character. I have no idea what the answer is. That's a tough one.
Yeah. I
mean, here's one thing that I'm 100% sure on is that,
bring in the Bradshaw boys and it can be a party of 6. Table of 6, please.
Table of 6 for a chat and chew.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they're going to get dating back on the show. They're all married. John can talk to the girls about marriage. Kevin and I go on dates. That's what
I'll sausage stare at a bunch of Aussies in a swimming pool if it gets me on the Sex and the City show. I don't care.
All right.
Yeah.
I just want them to stay. I want them to say, here is what New York City is. How has the city changed, and what did we not miss, but what on the turkey leg at Walt Disney World of New York City, where did we leave meat on the bone? And where did we say like, oh yeah, we missed so many parts of what it is to be in New York City that we can still explore. I don't want them going anywhere. I don't want them going. They can maybe go upstate or go to the Hamptons for part of an episode, but I want them in New York City doing things that they miss. Because part of this, I was like, it's fine they're in Abu Dhabi, but like the city not only is the fifth character, but also you have not fully explored what it is to live in New York. Like that is never ending. And there's lots of stuff that you could do. And that could have been like Carrie going out with all of Big's, I don't know, like something at his firm, and you see more of his world. And there's just so many things they could do in New York City. And I think that they're going to have to lean harder on that if Samantha's not there.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I do think like just being older, being like 55, like trying to fuck in New York, like is not going to be that interesting. So I don't know that, like, dude.
You don't know. First of all, Kevin, you don't know that.
I mean, that's true.
Why don't you slide?
That's right. You're true. You're right.
Why don't you slide that Tinder age thing over to 55 and let us know next week?
I'll do it right now. I'm gonna do it right now. I'm doing it all on the pod.
There have been times that when I've been in Tribeca or on the Upper East Side, I've popped out my like Tinder, my Bumble, and just moved it to like 41 to 50, and then just been like, let's see if magic strikes. You know, I've never got any hits. You know, but
let's see if Magic Johnson.
I'd be totally down.
Well, I think that's it. I think that's we need to Cosmo rate the movie, and then I think we should Cosmo rate Sex and the City as a whole, as a concept.
Man, that's tough.
I think we just need to do it.
Yeah. Well, okay. So you want to do it two separate ones? You want to Cosmo
rate the movie, and then Cosmo rate Sex and the City. Just Sex and the City.
Okay, we're gonna Cosmo rate the movie first. Okay, you guys know what your Cosmo rating for the movie is?
Yeah,
I got mine.
All right, I got mine. 3, 2, 1, 3.0.
2.5 Cosmos. Ooh. Wow. All right, let's go low to high. Kevin, you did 2.25.
Yeah, like I guess maybe I was being extra harsh. I think there was enough to glean from it that it was not as bad as I thought, but also I can totally see how it didn't honor the characters in the best way. It was kind of like a little fruitful. It wasn't as bad. I do wonder if hearing everything, like what it would be like to go excited for it and then walk out of it. That is the experience that a lot of people are talking about. And so I'm thinking about it from that perspective. It was fun to hop back in. It was fun to spend this day with you. It was fun to pod together, but you know, all in all, sorry, Charlie, 2.25.
Yeah, I give it a 2.5. It was definitely, I want to be clear. It was definitely the worst Sex and the City thing that's ever been made, but that's still not that bad because Sex and the City as a whole is so good. The characters are super fun. The laughs are still there. The fashion's still there. The relationships are still there. We had a chat and chew 40,000 feet in the air, however high airplanes fly. Like we had some awesome stuff in this movie. That camel scene was great. The scene with Miranda and Charlotte was great. Yeah, there was like 15 minutes of hijinks that were horrible and offensive, but like, I don't know. I didn't hate this movie. I'd watch it again. It was below par for what Sex and the City can normally produce. And it's a bummer that that's the last thing that's been put out there, but like not nearly as bad as I thought it would be. 2.5.
3.0 definitely went the highest. Maybe, listen, there are times where I'm like, I try to put the rating into other things. I feel like these ratings exist for like the watch that you just had. So it's like I'm sure I gave other things that are better a 3.0. I think this had a little bit of the Parasite effect on me that we talked about in our last episode, where like Kevin, telling people to watch Parasite. Like I had so many people tell me this is an abysmal movie that I went into it with a certain level of expectations, and then came out and I was like, yeah, it was kind of boring compare. And I think what Jon just said, like it is probably the lowest Sex and the City giant project. It's the worst of all those. There were some fun moments. Huge, giant budget, insanely glossy. I feel like the like offensive cultural stereotype stuff was like, it was like so yuck that it was just kind of like it was like a mess,
Mm-hmm.
It's like I was less offended and more just like, okay, come on, you could have done better, but like there's other things that it felt like it was too much going on. But also, and I wish there was, I think the first movie was great. I wish it was as good as that. But we got a little more Sex in the City in our world, so like that's okay. I wish it could have been better though.
Absolutely. All right, now Sex in the City as a whole, as a concept.
Oof, this is tough.
Oh, see, this is easy for me.
All right, let's go.
3, 2, 1. 2.25 Cosmos.
Wow, holy.
Now that we're done, fuck this show. Fuck you too. I'm
going
done.
back to The
I'm done
Sopranos.
with this podcast.
I'm gonna
It's
go watch
over.
Real TV. My name's Kevin Doyle. I'm gonna watch some real shit.
I'm gonna watch some real. I like NYPD. New York City's NYPD Blue. I'm doing a
it
podcast.
doesn't have a soprano, it's a no-go. No,
It's a
Sex
5.
and the City is fantastic. It's everything.
Yeah, it's a 5. It's a 5. I love it.
Yeah, we love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for this journey. As Kevin said, we're doing our rewatch. Every other half the episodes will be on the live stream. You can find the others on the Patreon. We really want to grow a super solid community of people who love Sex and the City and people who want to freshen up and get as excited as possible for this new content that's coming out. We're going to do watch parties. We're going to do chat groups. We're going to do all the fun stuff. And hopefully we can culminate it all with Carrie Con and all the fun that we'll have there. So join us in that adventure. We love you all very much. And thank you so much for being a part of this. Howdy, Homers.
We'll see. Hey, and guess what? We'll see you next week. We'll see you next week with the pilot.
That's right.
Oof.
That's insane.
Dang.
Later, taters. In a while, Wyatt. Howdy, Homers.
In a while, Wyatt. Howdy, Homer. Later, tater.
Touch me, Tate. Okay, bye.
Okay.
Bye, Kathy. Ack.
The Bradshaw Boys stars Cory Cavin, Kevin James Doyle, and Jon Sieber. The show is produced by me, Jeremy Balon, and narrated by Katie Sieber. This podcast is part of the Seltzer Kings Network. Check out all their great podcasts at seltzerkings.com. You can find the boys on their socials at The Bradshaw Boys or on their website at thebradshawboys.com. And as always, if you see them in the street, tip your glass. Thanks for listening.
Let's start. We're starting now.